SDF Kimchin. You'll laugh at the quiver part. I already read it. I just want to go over it on stream. I'm just finishing up this this peppermint I'm eating because I had ramen for dinner and it was really garlicky and my mouth tastes like garbage. So I got peppermint patty. Yay. Let's see what we got here. Bro coming in with a cold opening on the in the kitchen. All right. Ramen and 3 hours of sleep is crazy. Yeah. Don't even get me started on how much diarrhea I had yesterday. Trust me, you don't want to know. While it would be ideal to present an impressive roadmap, we've often fallen short in preparation and lack the ability to anticipate the future, which made us hesitant to make such attempts. Moving forward, we will make an effort to better prepare and take on the challenge of providing a clear roadmap. Before we share a full-fledged roadmap, I'd like to take a moment to explain my thoughts on the current state of the game and the direction we are heading. Although I believe I had already explained things from various angles, no. Come to realize that many people are still unsure what SDF's vision truly is. This made me reflect on my lack of skill in communicating our intentions clearly, so this time I'll try to explain things more intuitively. I think we're gonna need something for this. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna get like a little notepad open. So let's learn about the vision. We'll just deal with it. When we design a game, we fundamentally do not chase after currently successful formulas or create games specifically for target audiences we don't fully understand just because the audience is large. Okay, so I love this song. So they do not chase successful formulas. Do not make games for target audiences we don't fully understand. Simple and honest reason is that we're not particularly good at developing games in that way. Okay, so let's put an addendum over here. They are not good at developing games in that way. Who are they? Iron Mace. He says we. All right, there are many great studios out there that are exceptionally good at that kind of development, but at the very least, I am not that kind of, I'm not that kind of person. Okay, so he just reiterated what he just said. That's why at a fundamental level, I make games for players who are similar to myself. I believe I've mentioned this before. SDF makes games for players who are similar to himself. They make games for himself. In the beginning, this game was developed based on the principles I mentioned earlier, targeting players with preferences similar to mine. Okay, making a game for himself. However, as playtests progress, we came to realize that a much wider range of players than we had initially expected were going to enjoying the game, see its potential. Iron Mace did not expect such a broad audience. We discovered that our player base included solo, duo, and trio players, hardcore and casual players, those who enjoyed dungeon crawling, players who love PvP, and others who preferred non-competitive experiences. This wide range of audiences meant we had to address a variety of needs and preferences. Because we wanted to quickly build a structure that could satisfy these different groups to at least a certain degree, we ended up making a series of shallow choices and going through countless trial and error. Iron Mace tried to satisfy everyone, leading to shallow design choices and trial plus error. As a result, development often felt like a series of reactions to the moment rather than deliberating long-term planning. Okay. Yeah, trial and error. I mean, development felt like, look, we'll write down. Development felt like series of reactions instead of long-term planning. In truth, we wanted to invest time in building deeper content that would support long-term gameplay cycles. Things like training systems, personal housing, and guilds. Iron Mace always wanted to make training systems, housing, and guilds. I'm capitalizing that because this should be important to come back on later. Shallow systems we had created early on became tangled together like a chimera, and we spent an overwhelming amount of time tuning and testing them instead. Iron Mace couldn't do this because the shallow systems created early on became tangled. Isn't that just spaghetti code? All time was spent tuning, testing instead. All right. For example, when we introduced the random modifier system, I personally had a lot of concerns. However, I wanted to realize the fantasy of creating powerful synergy-based builds like those seen in roguelike games and playing the game through that lens. That's why we decided to test the system during the playtest. Random modifiers were introduced because SDF wanted SDF wanted to, I don't know, play the game through a roguelike lens. Okay. In the early stage of testing, it was actually possible to create Superman builds with extraordinary damage, health and movement speed, weapon damage, shoot damage, additional damage values extremely high. Despite the presence of power options like all attributes on multiple gear pieces, the time to kill remained short enough, and with the right setup, players could strategically take on multiple opponents. At the time, the combat seemed promising to me. With the right setup, you mean with good enough gear? You just outgeared. If you outgeared a bunch of people, you could do 1vx. Is that the way I'm like if you're like a 95% PDR fighter as existed at this in this time period, basically you could 1v3 a team of people who are not 95% PDR, right? Am I understanding that correctly? Supported Superman builds that let's put in quotes. Superman builds that were able to 1vx seemed promising. However, not all players enjoyed this structure. In the community, there was considerable backlash against the one-tap meta, and many asked for longer TTK. Of course, some of that feedback stemmed from the gear gap, which also resulted in public stomping. At the time, we wanted to listen to players and try to improve things in the direction they were asking for. Players did not like the one-tap meta, so Iron Mace tried to listen to the players and move in the direction players wanted, basically. Terry believed from the beginning that random modifiers were inherently difficult to balance and ultimately needed to be removed. I initially disagreed as I supported the random modifier system. However, I eventually came to the same conclusion. Unless we made every player into a glass cannon, there was no way to provide a meaningful sense of hope when faced with gear gap. Harry originally liked random mods. SDF did, oh no, sorry, opposite. Terry originally disliked random mods. SDF liked. Then SDF changed mine to not like random mods because the only way to provide hope is everyone is glass cannon, which doesn't work in this game because there's range classes and melee classes. But we removed the random modifiers and we turned everybody into a glass cannon. What's that all about? It seems to be the opposite of what we just did. All right, at the same time, I was curious, would ideal combat really emerge if we changed the structure this way? We gradually limited the impact of overly powerful modifiers, reducing the overall influence amount of random modifiers, and evolved the system to increase the TTK. Okay, so this is like a year, or this is like almost 2 years ago. This is like a year and a half ago where the random modifiers were nerfed and we can't get 20 something true damage anymore. I thought we were talking about like recently. Okay. So basically he's just saying that like gradual limitation or reduction of random modifiers to modifiers to increase TTK. Of course, I still couldn't fully let go of the original idea of powerful synergy-based builds. That's why there were times when all attributes made a return and TTK was reduced again, leading to seemingly contradictory updates. Yeah, these knee-jerk grasps for power is like what everybody hates, basically. You know what I mean? Like when we get like we spend months and months evolving like a patch or a gameplay style or like gear in a way that kind of like changes how the game functions. And then every few months we get another vision shift that like basically removes everything that we already like spent all the time, you know, giving feedback on and evolving and developing in the game, and basically starting in a completely new direction or a new like TTK overall, right? Like that's basically what we're saying. Okay, so SDF couldn't let go of original idea of powerful synergy based builds, which is why plus all and low TTK would randomly return. Basically, they were the result of two conflicting design philosophies clashing with each other. So he got the he's like that meme where like inside everyone there's like two, what was it? It's like two, What's the meme? Inside everyone, there's 2 lions or something, or 2 dragons. I don't remember. I literally don't remember the meme. Wolves? Inside everyone, there's 2 wolves. There you go. Inside everyone, there's 2 skibbity toilets. In any case, the result of that recent structure has shifted to one where PvP is no longer decided by just 1 or 2 mistakes, but instead through multiple exchanges. However, even small differences in gear now feel much more significant. Class-based rock, paper, scissors matchup become harder to overcome, and winning while outnumbered has become virtually impossible. What timeline is this? Like, because prior to this patch, I could 1v3 in Squire gear. Pretty regularly. It wasn't that bad. After this patch, because let me be clear, I could 1v3 in Squire gear. Like, me and my opponents are wearing Squire gear before this patch. Now it is much harder to 1v3 because of the short TTK. Basically, if the enemy team has a sorcerer or a ranger, I just have to give up. I can't fight them. They do too much damage at range. Had a dude TK me today saying he's doing it to help kill the game faster and to uninstall so it dies. Player base the issue, not the devs. Player base is toxic, but the devs are also doing some crazy stuff. I don't know how to phrase this. I don't know. Resulted in PvP changing to multiple exchange, high TTK. Small differences in gear feel significant. Winning while outnumbered, virtually impossible. Competing at a high level now requires a significant time investment. Leveling up your skills takes a long time. Without a highly skilled trio party, grinding and preparing the necessary gear also demands a lot of effort. Bro, what are we talking about? If I really want to grind up gear, I could. I mean, I've always grinded up gear. It's not that big of a deal. If you guys are, I mean, you're saying like I do it because I'm a streamer. I don't even stream as much as most of the other streamers in Dark and Darker. Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem that crazy. Never seemed that hard to get geared up in this game, and especially since there's basically no progression system whatsoever. Still, after 3 years, no, I'm not sure that's like what's up, you know. So I'm just gonna competing at high level requires significant time investment. Leveling up skills takes a long time. What does that mean? Getting better at the game? Leveling up your skills takes a long time. What does that mean? Is my music too loud, by the way? Mechanics? So getting good at the game took too long? Really? 1 to 15 to unlock skills? There's no way he means that. Alright, turn it down. What does this... I'm just gonna put, what does this mean? Takes a lot of hours to build muscle memory and be good at the game. That's every PvP game that's ever existed, though. I mean, the players that have played the game longer and focused on developing their skills are going to be better at the PvP game than the players who aren't. This is the fundamental. This is literally the foundation of PvP games, right? No one's gonna want to play your PvP game if it's just an RNG mess where you can die to anybody at any time if they get lucky, right? No one wants to deal with that, man. Maybe that's why they changed the hit locations. I came to believe that this structure hurt player accessibility and would ultimately hinder the game's long-term growth. So we made bold decision to rework the structure entirely. This led to patch 69. Developing skills and gathering gear hurt player accessibility. So we got patch 69. Most people remember 69. That's like the same as similar to what we have now, but actually like a better version of what we have now. In one shot by a winless skill expression? Yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, due to my lack of proper explanation and the poor timing of implementing such changes mid-season, the intended message was not clearly communicated and the patch caused unintended side effects. I sincerely apologize once again for that. All right, so chill out. Patch 69 failed because of poor communication. Okay, so I just want to point out that this current patch is a failure because of poor communication and the way it was launched. This is worse than 69, and we still don't know how the gear is going to be changed in the future to make gear valuable, which is what people have been asking for. So we somehow relived the past and not learned from it. Wait, hold on. Saying other games have that changes nothing about the fact that there's no other game like Dark and Darker, and there's not a ton of transferable skills to it. Tarkov is literally exactly like it. The only difference is swing. It's easier to PvP in Dark and Darker. And if you talk about like first person like dungeon games, we have like what's that game I played recently? Fly Night, Lunacid, Barony. There's another one I played recently. What was that? I actually literally can't remember. Hey Leo. Oh, Chroma Tower. Duh. Yeah, Chroma Tower is similar. Tarkov's fun. It's fun when you win, not when you get cheated on. Too many cheaters in Tarkov. Too many hackers. No idea what it's like now. It's still full of cheaters. All right. So, where was I? Oh yeah. So he said, I'm not gonna put words in his mouth, so I'm not gonna say that our current patch is a failure. I said I keep it simple, but here I am rambling on again. Oh, silly you. All right, my inconsistent decisions and shallow responses to feedback from various types of players have led to the current state of the game, and now I believe that this outcome is not ideal. SDF believes the current state of the game is not ideal. Okay, that was entirely my mistake, and I will not repeat it again. Okay, well, we just talked about patch 69 being the same thing, and we repeated that mistake. But okay, will not repeat same mistake. From now on, I will move forward with a clear focus towards the final vision we have for the game. This does not mean I will stop listening to player feedback. Rather, it means I will want to stay true to the direction we're aiming for, filtering feedback through that lens without being easily swayed. Okay, so let me summarize this. SDF will now move towards his final vision without being easily swayed by feedback. However, he will still read it. I hate they turned away from the immersive extraction game to basically chivalry with mob and magic. Yeah. All right. To put our future direction more simply, we will move away from the current model where investing time makes a player's character increasingly powerful. Okay. And instead shift towards a model where players become increasingly wealthy. Of course, players who invest time will still feel a certain amount of power and growth and advantage. I want to ensure that opponents never feel completely hopeless when facing them. Time investment will not equal power. Time investment will equal money. Money equal power? Probably not. So what is money then? What is the vision? Does he ever make it clear? Oh, we're trying to figure it out. That's why I brought the notepad out. There it is, man. Yeah. We ain't getting paid IRL. That would be hilarious. He's just like Bitcoin farming on your computer for you to play Dark and Darker and just pays you. Dad booster pack 15. All right. Okay, so of course, players who invest time will still feel a certain amount of power, growth, and advantage. But I want to ensure opponents never feel completely hopeless. So time investment equals a certain amount of power plus power growth plus advantage, not enough to make opponents hopeless. I'm confused. Okay, bring the shadows of Chroma Tower. I would play Chroma Tower if it was on playtest, but the playtest ended a few days ago. Chroma Tower developers in the chat right now. He's over on YouTube. That's Leo. Leo, are you like the lead dev for Chroma Tower? I actually never asked you. Are you like the lead dev, or are you like community manager, or are you just like what is your like position within the development team? Thank you for the 2 months Prime, Napoleon. We get a crab skin that uses money to heal. That'd be hilarious. Did I try Apogea? Looks pretty neat. Oh god. Okay. To speak a bit more specifically about the current state of the game, I'm generally satisfied with where things are now, and I plan to use points as a foundation for further tuning. Wait, what? Hold on. Let me write it down, and then we're going to move up to my previous note. SDF currently generally satisfied with the current state of the game. Will use this point as foundation for further tuning. If we go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines, we have SDF believes that the current state of the game is not ideal. Okay, so I'm a lot of stuff for Chroma Tower. Lead dev is a good way to sum it up. I'm tech lead, game director, game designer, community manager. It's 6 people. Gotta wear a lot of hats. Gotcha. So the Chroma Tower team is 6 people. Gotcha. Tips on Kitchen Nightmares? Yeah. All right. So we got a little bit of conflicting statement there. We're running the same problem over and over again. The most competitive games run into balancing dev vision, top player concerns, and Timmy's concerns. Outside of glaring issues, which usually have fixes to make all 3 happy. You're stuck with diverging faction opinions. Where at most you can please 2 of 3. Well, in this situation, they're not pleasing anybody. I think everybody's pissed. Even the devs are pissed. Leo can't invite you to. There's no playtest right now, basement homie. So I don't think Leo can invite you to the playtest. I think that they said the next playtest might be in December, so that's all the news we have. While not yet fully confirmed and therefore not included in our internal roadmap, I would like to introduce systems such as a mastery system that grants additional bonuses based on your proficiency with individual weapons and armor. For example, gaining +1 true damage when reaching max proficiency stiletto dagger, or gaining a slight increase in armor rating, maxing out proficiency with a fine cuirass. Can I get lizard man proficiency? All right, let's write it down. Not included our internal roadmap. Introduce systems. Once mastery system that rewards you for using specific items and mastering them. DX +1 true on dagger or armor on armor. Learns to put a hat on? Real. All right. Additionally, based on our Additionally, based on our previous multi-class testing, we're also considering a training system resembling a subclass concept where players could allocate levels across multiple classes within a 20 level cap. To make this possible, multi-class setups, particularly those involving sorcerer, will need to be tested again, possibly as part of a special event. He wants subclassing that is limited. Multi-class event is coming back. Okay. As for the quiver, development has been paused because our original idea was to support various types of arrows, fire, poison, ice, etc. We haven't yet had the time to fully explore and finalize the concept. I understand that many players simply want larger arrow stacks or a quiver that works like a gold container, but in my view, rangers are already strong enough. But for now, I prefer to keep some elements of inventory management in place. I ask for your understanding on this. SDF wanted fire, poison, ice, arrows. Rangers are already too strong. Rangers are punished for being too strong with having less inventory squares. Okay. Hey man, what can I say? All right. I don't know why they just don't make quivers. Just nerf rangers and then balance them around having quivers, right? We've been asking for it for literally 2 years now. The punishment goes as far as they're willing to hold arrow stacks. Wait until the rangers start having their friends carry their arrows. Meanwhile, decreasing the number of arrows required to kill. Yeah. Who needs to carry a bunch of arrows when we're in winless crossbow one-shot meta? Just carry 1 stack. 15 bolts is more than enough to kill, 15 players, right? Then they promised quivers after the 3rd or 4th playtest. Well, they had coming soon for the skill trees since the 2nd playtest, and here we are. All right. I'm also well aware that many players are dissatisfied with the sense of reward. Hey, hold on a second. Wait a minute. What about fighters and rogues and bards that carry ranged ammo? What about fighters that carry arrows or crossbow bolts, or rogues and bards that carry crossbow bolts or arrows? What about them? You know what? We forgot they existed. It's fine. Shush, Ranger 2 OP. Honest question from a guy who's been played over years. Managing arrows in your inventory even a real concern, except when you're cheesing bosses? It's pretty annoying to have less inventory space. One of the reasons I like using a crossbow over a bow, among other reasons, that bolts take up less space than arrows. So I can bring in 30 bolts and have literally 2 extra inventory slots. Maybe the Chroma Tower devs are colorblind and that's what most games look like for them. Well, I'm colorblind. So I imagine Chroma Tower looks a bit weird for me compared to normal people. I'm also aware that many players are dissatisfied with the sense of reward from item acquisition. We have no intention of keeping things in their current state. Okay. Gear will not remain in its current state. The reason why single line random modifiers being tested on the test server were not included in the semi because I wanted to first establish a clear foundation for the kind of combat style we aim to deliver. Is it this? Wait, what? No modifiers on gear to establish combat style foundation. Chroma Tower looks weird, period. That's Leo saying that. That's funny. I mean, it has a charm. There's definitely some color palette charm with Chroma Tower for sure. And the goofy character models are pretty silly. But I do know that like there's probably a lot of blue light being put out for sure into people's retinas. What type of color blindness you have? I have red-green color blindness. I have a really hard time telling the difference between red and brown and red and green and blue and purple. That said, this doesn't necessarily mean that random modifiers will return in the future. However, we believe that each class must have multiple viable builds. Okay, we believe that each class must have multiple viable builds, and for now we are focusing on making those builds work properly within the current baseline. After that, we'll consider whether it's possible to create something interesting through goldsmith services using gems. Okay. Doesn't promise random. Not sure if random modifiers will return. If they do, it will be goldsmith via gems. You wonder if Dungeonborn's doing this bad? Dungeonborn's dead, bro. They shut the servers down. Didn't you hear? We believe... Okay, so I'm gonna put this down too. SDF believes each classes must have multiple viable builds, focusing on making those builds work properly with current baseline. Why are we doing that? Why are we balancing the classes around the baseline when we're about to change the gear again? I'm confused. Dungeonborn has a 24-hour peak of one person. Hell yeah, dude. Division. Okay. This semi-wipe will serve as a solid opportunity to establish and refine the standards for combat and game modes in preparation for the upcoming EA7 season. So as we all already knew, this semi-wipe is literally just a testing wipe to see if season 7 is going to be a wash. I knew no one's going to be really want to play the semi-wipe. I don't know. We'll see if people come back for season 7. I welcome criticism as a sign of interest, but I also hope you'll consider provide feedback so we can build a better game together. Okay, so hold on. Semi-wipe establishes is just a test for EA7. Let's keep it short. So I'm gonna sound a little salty here. I welcome criticism as a sign of interest, but I also hope you continue to provide feedback so we can build a better game together. It's not together, bro. It's just you guys. Iron Mace. It's Iron Mace, and more specifically, like you. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna eat fried chicken and call it, beef or something, right? Like, let's just, like he said up here, that he's making the game for players who are similar to himself. He did not expect a broad audience. He tried to satisfy everyone, leading shallow design, and that he was now going to where is it? Where's the thing where he said he's just gonna work on his vision now and not really deviate anymore. SDF will now move towards his final vision without being easily swayed by feedback. However, he will still read it ? So we're not building the game together, bro. I want to see more recognition of the way people are being vocal, even if you dismissed it. Something like, hey, I see the 10x clown to love emoji ratio, but this is what I want for my game. I think it's what he meant here. I welcome criticism as a sign of interest. I think that's what he's saying here. But the Dark and Darker Discord is like pure toxicity. It's really bad these days. And then everybody, I mean, don't even bother giving him feedback. He has plenty he can read through if he so chooses. 2600-ish more to be precise. Yeah, I wrote him a big feedback document, and that'll be the only one I'm doing. I wrote him like a couple pages of feedback 2 days ago, and that'll be the only one I'm doing. I'm not gonna continuously crash out at SDF about something I have no control over. The Iron Mace specifically asked for feedback, and I gave it. And that'll be my part in the matter. It saddens me to hear claims that we are intentionally ruining the game, being full of hope for its future and stuff. Plenty of energy. All of us will continue doing our absolute best to help the game grow and evolve. Sorry. We're truly grateful to everyone who continues to support us through all the challenges. Thank you. I'm not gonna say anything like mean or anything. I'm just gonna stick to what we read. That's an obscure line to me, but it could be ESL. Yeah, he is ESL. The valid post on Discord getting drowned out by the garbage. Absolutely. Yeah, there's no point in posting any feedback, because for every one legitimate feedback you get 10 like pregnant goblin images or you know, stupid shit that like just things that are like wishing self-harm on people. Like it's crazy. Thank you for the super, Franco. These guys are their own worst enemies. I'm convinced they are lost in chasing the dragon. Was a great run though. You're awesome. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I think they're kind of lost. So we finished the kitchen. So we're gonna summarize. We're gonna summarize. Okay. You're ESL too. I cannot understand what he means. Yeah, my Pascal is ESL too. My wife, she's also ESL. I'm also ESL. I mean, English is a first language too, but sometimes English is a second language. Just depends on how my brain is working that day. He mentioned Prego Goblins. Well, all right. So let's go over the vision. Okay, so I'm gonna put they here. They do not chase successful formulas. Iron Mace. They do not make games for targeted audiences that they fully don't understand. Okay, so I don't really know like what audience they are making for Dark and Darker. I guess he says making for people like himself. Iron Mace is not good at developing games in that way. Okay. Okay. SDF makes game for players who are similar to himself. He said that. They did not expect such a broad audience. They tried to satisfy everyone, leading to shallow design choices and trial and error, which satisfied no one. Development felt like series of reactions instead of long-term planning, which it was. Iron Mace always wanted to make training systems, housing, and guilds, but they never did. Iron Mace couldn't do this because the shallow systems created early on became tangled. All time was spent on tuning testing instead. I don't like how this is worded, but I'm not going to tell SDF how to word things. Shallow systems created early on became tangled. Shooting and testing, bro. We buffed and nerfed axe mastery like 7 times, didn't we? Like at the end of the day, I'm not so sure. It's the issues that they're tangled is because y'all couldn't figure out what you wanted out of the game. But all right, moving on. Random modifiers were introduced because SDF wanted to play the game through a roguelike lens, which I think I'm not so sure about that one. Supported Superman builds that were able to 1vx, seemed promising. So he liked the Superman 1vx builds, but these were just gear diff builds at the end of the day, right? They weren't builds. They were just gear diffing people, right? Players did not like the one-tap meta, so Iron Mace tried to listen to the players, move in the direction players wanted. So Iron Mace, I think it's like, it kind of implies Iron Mace liked the one-tap meta. Makes sense. The current meta. Terry originally disliked random mods. STF liked mods. Then STF changed mind and not like random mods because the only way to provide hope is everyone is a glass cannon, which is what we have right now. Everyone's a glass cannon. Well, most everyone's a glass cannon. Gradual. His Superman build is just druid. True. Gradual reduction of random modifiers to increase the TTK. SDF couldn't let go of his original idea of powerful synergy-based builds, which is why plus all and low TTK would randomly return. That's why we had these random like patches that everyone was like, what the hell just happened? And like just totally remade the game. Resulted in PvP changing multiple exchange, high TTK, small differences in gear feel significant, winning while outnumbered virtually impossible. I don't know if this is true. On equal gear levels, you can beat you used to be able to beat a 3-man. At the current like way the game is, if you're a melee class, you cannot 1v3 if they have one ranger or multiple range classes, or just players who refuse to engage in melee and just shoot you down. It's impossible to 1v3 if the enemy team just backs up and shoots you. That's it. That's how it is. Competing at high level requires significant time investment. Leveling up skills takes a long time. Yeah, I didn't understand this. Competing at high level requires significant time investment. Leveling up skills takes a long time. So I think this means player skill. Like getting better at the game takes a long time. But that's what people like about competitive games. They like the feeling of personal progression. What is Dark and Darker doing to attract new players? What is Iron Mace doing to avoid worse wolf versus sheep gameplay? PvE modes in the game, bro. Developing skills and gathering gear hurt player accessibility. So we got patch 69. Okay, so I don't know what that meant. Developing skills and gather. I don't know. Patch 69 failed because of poor communication is what he said. And then I associate it with the current patch, which is also failing because of poor communication. SDF believes the current state of the game is not ideal. He will not repeat the same mistake, even though we did. We did repeat the same mistake of patch 69. SDF will move towards his final vision without being easily swayed by feedback. However, he will still read it. So basically what he's saying that he's gonna move forward whether you like it or not. You're welcome to get feedback, but that doesn't mean he's gonna take it into like his design. PvE doesn't help when you get into PvP. It's near impossible to practice without getting dogged on by 3 people if you don't have a trio. Find a trio, bro. That's all I can say, man. Like we can't. God damn. There's no real way to win. Like it is. The only way to get better at PvP games online is to just get your ass in there and get your ass kicked for like 100 hours minimum. That's how online PvP games are. That's how they all are. The only difference might be like League, where you start off like playing against Timbos like yourself. At the same time, League has like millions of players, and Dark and Darker has currently 3,000. It don't work in this game. It's not gonna happen until Dark and Darker has millions of players. Anyways, SDF will move towards his final vision without being easily swayed by feedback. Yep. Time investment will not equal. Okay, so this is one because it's confusing. Time investment will not equal power. Time investment will equal money. Money equals power? Probably not. Time investment equals a certain amount of power growth plus advantage, but not enough to make opponents hopeless. So time investment equals limited power. SDF currently generally satisfied with the current state of the game and will use this point as foundation for further testing. This is what confused me because he says right here, SDF believes the current state of the game is not ideal. Generally satisfied with the current state of the game, believes the current state of the game is not ideal. That won't confuse me. He wants a mastery system that rewards you for using specific items and mastering them, like +1 true on dagger, armor on armor, like leveling up your skill with gear. He wants subclassing that is limited multi-classing. Multi-class event is coming back, so prepare your buttholes. SDF wanted fire, poison, ice arrows, but he says rangers are already too strong, and rangers are currently being punished for being too strong with having less inventory squares in the form of them not giving them quiver. SDF basically said that we could give rangers quiver, but rangers are currently too strong, so we're limiting their inventory space. If money equals power, does that mean the season pass is pay to win? Who knows? Gear will not remain in its current state. So gear will not remain in its current state. That's the copium talking, because they never really worked on quivers. It's not copium. SDF is the one who's saying it. I'm not making this up. This is what he said. No modifiers on gear to establish combat style foundation. So he said that they have no modifiers on the gear because they want this to be how the combat style is. He is not sure if random modifiers will return. If they do, it'll be on goldsmith via gems. So maybe colored items will have gem slots. SDF's hard coping. I don't know if I'd call it cope. Maybe cap, but not cope. Weird way to pronounce inventory guy left. Maybe. SDF believe classes must have multiple viable builds. Focusing on making those builds work properly with the current baseline is what he's doing. And then semi-wipe is just a test for early access season 7. Oh man, woo! All right, that's crazy, bro. Let's we're gonna copy and paste this. But it'd be neat if they had a quiver with 60 cab refill when camping. Make campfire perk actually useful. Maybe in change perk we get campfire effects while standing near it instead of sitting. All sounds bad. That's where Mace will make multiple builds work. Last season there was 65% PDR spear rangers out there having fun. Yeah, or 100% armor pen. That was certainly fun for them, not for the people that they were fighting. Back and forth gets stale? Yeah.